it as an investment, meaning
Right.
they have a business, they have a consulting firm, they are an executive that by writing a book, they elevate their status and could get paid more, for example. They are a subject matter expert and they want to be seen as such. So being able to call yourself an author brings yourself authority, credibility, and expertise. And the right person is willing to pay a good amount of money to make that happen. Plus, when you have a lower priced product, like a book, ebook, or audiobook, or even a hardcover or softcover book, that allows potential clients to test drive your ideas. And the test driving of your ideas makes people go, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. So I feel safe to go ahead and hire them. And so it wouldn't be uncommon, for example, for an author to share their book with potential clients, mail it to them, send a copy to them. As kind of a way to kickstart a conversation um, with the potential client, and then they can use the authority, credibility, and expertise from writing that book. They can just shuffle that right into working with them directly. So that's how writing a book can become a very profitable activity. Now, why a ghostwriter? Why don't you just write it yourself? Well, the people I've described, the consultants, executives, founders, entrepreneurs, investors, they're very busy people. They don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and write a book. And if they do, it doesn't turn out well. Usually they can write. Could they write the book? Yes. But it's not the best use of their time, nor do they know how to write a book because they're not an expert on book writing. That's just not what they do. Okay. It's just not what they do. So being in a position of a ghostwriter is a great place to be. So that's the sort of work that I do. I've had international bestsellers. I've ghostwritten for some household names here in the United States. Everyone from founders and, like I said, a few folks in Hollywood, traditional book deals where there's an agent and then they get paid in advance. That kind of goes into the details of the publishing industry, but we can keep it solely focused on ghostwriting and what is it and how to do it, and of course what is it not. So I'll go ahead and pause there.
Okay, okay. So, like basically, you have written 57 ghost written books, like for someone else, right? So that's a really huge number, and yeah, that's amazing. So, going with the further question, my first question is what actually ghostwriting is, and what ghostwriting is not. Like, what's the difference, and like clearing the concept of this word ghostwriting.
Yes, yes. I get that a lot where people think ghostwriting is one thing, but it's not. And usually what they think ghostwriting is, what a potential client thinks ghostwriting is, it's not that. So here's how that conversation will go. Joshua, I see that you've written all these books. You help people write books. I've been trying for 5 years to write mine. It's very important that I write it. It's not been going well. I'm not happy with what I put together, but I don't feel like I could give it to someone else to write because it's my ideas, it's my stories, it's my author voice, it's my writing style. I don't want to just have someone write a book that doesn't sound at all like me and then publish it with my name on it. That doesn't feel right. That is what ghostwriting is not. Ghostwriting is not you pay someone to write a book and then they write a book with their own stories, their own writing style, and then the client slaps their name on it and calls it theirs. That's not what ghostwriting is. Ghostwriting is a lot more collaborative. It involves often interviewing the author, getting their perspectives, their stories, their ideas that make sense to go in the book. And then you, as the ghostwriter, study the uh, author voice, the writing style, the unique way that that author words things so that you can recreate their writing style with what it is that you're writing, but you make it sound a lot better than they could have made it sound themselves. That's more so what ghostwriting is. The person, the author, reads what you have ghostwritten and they say, yeah, these are my stories, my ideas, my experiences, my advice. But it's the best way I could have said it. That's how you know you've done a good job as a ghostwriter.
Okay. So basically, it is a collaborative effort from the person who is writing the book and the person who is actually getting the name from the book, right? It is both of their ideas, both of their suggestions and feedbacks, and then they finally get on a book to write and publish it finally, right?
That's a good way to put it. Yes, yes. So it's not like the ghostwriter disappears for months and then comes back 6 months later. Okay, here's your book. The way I prefer to ghostwrite is one chapter at a time. We spend the first month, the client and I, discussing the structure of the book. That is, the table of contents, the outline. Okay, what goes in chapter 1, chapter 2? What makes sense? And having ghostwritten so many books, having had so many that have been successful, commercially successful, selling tens of thousands of copies, I know what works and what doesn't in a book. And that's what usually why they hire me is they come and they say, well, he knows a lot more about this than I do. And someone just asked the question of how do you get started building your references, your portfolio? That's what you need to make your objective, is to know that you know more about this industry than the author does, even if it's just a little bit more. Even if you've just written one book. That's how I got started, actually. I authored my own books. I got when I was 20 years old, I got a 2-book publishing deal for 2 novels that I had written in a series. And while I'm going out there, this is almost 10 years ago, by the way. While I'm going out there, promoting those books, signing copies, taking selfies with readers and fans, a couple of people bought the books, independently of one another, said, Joshua, I have wanted to write books longer than, I wanted to write my own book longer than you've been alive. I feel like because yours is good, you could actually help me finally get mine done. That happened twice. It happened twice, nearly 10 years ago. And guess what? I told those people, okay, fine, sure, I guess I can help you with your book. I did not even know that there was such a thing called ghostwriting at that time. But they asked me, can you help me write my book? And I said, okay, fine, sure. So at that time, I didn't do the whole.
It's just like someone approached you and you like said a yes to write their book and write a book for them, right? And that at that time it wasn't your profession, for sure.
Right, right. But I had authority, credibility, and expertise because I had already authored 2 books myself. So people say, well, he is the authority because he's done it twice. He's credible. He's done it twice. And the books are actually good. He's got the expertise, meaning when he explains to me how he wrote his books, how he authored his own novels, it sure sounds like he knows how to write a good book. Like it wasn't guessing or luck or just complete inspiration. He had a structure. He had a process. And maybe he can use that process to help me write mine. And one of the people was an entrepreneur, and one of them was a sales executive. One was a sales executive. So that's how I got started. So the best way to build your portfolio is to write your own books and make sure that they're good, because that way you can prove you know what you're doing.
Right. Basically, doing by it yourself, and then serving some one other and approaching someone for your services when you have the relevant credibility and the experience with you.
Yeah, yeah. I did this part unintentionally. I didn't realize that by marketing my own books, that was going to get me ghostwriting clients. I wasn't aware of that. Now, when I do promote my own products, so I have some courses, I have master classes, and I also have those 2 novels. As I go about promoting those, I make it very clear you can also hire me to do this stuff. So I'm selling my own products. I'm making money that way. But I also say, if you want to create something that's awesome like this too, here's the link to book a call with me. You could direct message me.
Right.
This is the way to talk to me directly.
Definitely. Basically providing that call to action to the clients by promoting the books and stuff you have already written.
Yes, if you like this, I can create it for you too.
Right. Okay, so my next question is what all can ghostwriters do apart from like
Yes,
writing
yes.
books? Yeah.
You're right to ask the question, because it's not just books. I have ghostwritten 57 books, but what else have I done? What else have I done? The number is probably in the maybe tens of thousands now of the number of blog articles and email newsletters and sales pages and web pages, resumes, CVs, cover letters, scripts for videos. All of the above can be ghostwritten. What's the difference between, copywriting and ghostwriting? I would call what you'd offer ghostwriting when it's extremely important that what you're writing sound exactly like the client and their voice. Like, let's say if you have like an e-commerce company, maybe you sell, I'll pick a random product. Okay, maybe you sell podcast mics. Okay, maybe that's what your business is. And the founder of the business isn't super involved. If you go to the podcast microphone website, you learn about the products and the top of line, best in class. And the brand doesn't really have a voice. Not really. It's just more here's information about it. So what a copywriter would come and do would then say, what is the best way to take the product and make people buy it? Right. So that's what I would call copywriting. Ghostwriting would be something like it's a personal brand. It's an influencer, for example, who wants to write, who wants to create stuff. They maybe Instagram posts. They have their own website. They have an email newsletter, for example. Okay, and the audience that they already have would know how they sound and how they don't sound. And so even if you're writing a sales page for the influencer's next product release, really needs to sound like them. And someone asked in the comments, how do you mimic someone's voice? Well, there's some different ways. Number one, use the words they use. And that may sound a little silly, a little obvious, but it's true. What are the words when you're interviewing the author that they use that you don't hear as often? Words that they use, words that clients use, that maybe turns of the phrase or cliches or catchphrases that when you hear them, you go, I haven't heard someone use that expression in a while. There you go. Do they tend to be people who describe, and this is how you kind of got to be a literary detective, to mimic your client's voice? Listen for, do they say things like, here's what it looked like. Here's what this sounds like to me. Here's what this feels like. Look, sound, feel. Those are three communication styles. If you're all familiar with a theory called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP as it's known as, you might be familiar with the idea that there are those of us who are primarily visual communicators and learners, auditory, so hearing, right, sound, communicators and learners, and then there are those of us who are kinesthetic communicators and learners. And that's about how things feel. And so if you could pick up, what is this person's communication style? Do they primarily like to see something work out? Do they like how it looks, right? Is the appearance of something important to them? Or are they more so, yeah, that doesn't sound good, right? Well, why do they use that word sound rather than, oh, that looks good or that feels good? It's because they're primarily auditory or sound and hearing-based learners and communicators. So that's an excellent tip that you can use to mimic someone's not even writing style, but their communication style, their way of interacting with the world. We all have a primary way we do that, and it's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. So that's a great way, is look for and listen for words and phrases that they use that are atypical, that just make you go, haven't heard that in a while. That's probably unique to their voice. And then look at their communication style. Those two tips alone will get you pretty far in mimicking someone's voice.
Okay. So hope it answers the question as well. Someone asked that how to mimic that voice when it comes to ghostwriting. So yeah. Next question, maybe can what is actually the difference between ghostwriting and editing?
Yes. A lot of aspiring authors will come to me and say, Joshua, I know I need an editor for my book, but I think I need more than an editor. What's that called? And they're not necessarily aware that there's this thing called ghostwriting. So what I think is the difference between ghostwriting and editing, ghostwriting is writing on behalf of the client, creating content on behalf of the client that sounds like them. Editing, taking what they've already written and making it sound a lot better. So maybe you're adding to the content, maybe you're removing from the content. I would even say that there's different levels of editing. So there's what's called, like, if we were to go down how much down to how little you are doing for clients, it would start off with something like ghostwriting. Okay, well, definitely would start with ghostwriting. You're creating as much content, original content, as possible for your author in their voice. Okay. Most of it's you doing the writing. Maybe they've got a few notes. Maybe they've got an outline for a chapter. Maybe they even got one chapter started, a couple chapters started. But you've got to basically write most of it. The other scenario would be they've written most of the book, if not all of the book. But when you analyze what they've written and you listen to their goals, you realize that what the author has written as their book, or as their email newsletter, or as their sales page, or whatever piece of content they want your help with, you realize that what they've written will absolutely not achieve their goals. Maybe it's just very bad. Maybe it's just very poorly written. Or it's written for an entirely wrong audience. I see that happen often, where someone will say, I want this book to be for everyone. Everyone can get something from this book. And then I read it, and the book reads as if it was written for an academic or for a university or like a textbook. And most of what's in the textbook, the average person does not care about, does not need to know. You probably need a ghostwriter to start from scratch. So if you're doing most of the writing, it's ghostwriting. If you're taking some material that they already have and saying, there's a lot that's missing here, I need to expand what you've got, that would be called developmental editing or substantive editing. Those, I would say that ghostwriting and developmental editing are brother and sister. They're sister and brother siblings, because they're very close. It's just how much writing are you doing, right? If you're doing, I would say some, but the core of what you're working with is already written, as developmental editing. Down from there, it's called line editing. Line editing is where they've got a full, let's say they send you a chapter to edit. You're literally going line by line, sentence by sentence, asking yourself, what's the best way to say this? And then you fix it, leaving as much of what they have written as possible, changing as little as possible, but also changing as much as needs to be changed. And that might mean you cut entire sentences, or you even rewrite entire sentences. So this is not so much adding or even writing. A lot of times it's rewriting, and it's tweaking and it's tinkering. Down from line editing is copy editing. And this is where you're looking for grammatical mistakes. If they've told a story twice and they didn't realize it, you as the copy editor need to point that out and then say, let's remove most of the second time the story is told and just focus on the first time the story is told. Let's focus on that, right? So it makes it look professional, a copy edit. And then down from there is a proofread, which most people know what it is. Get rid of the typos. Okay. So we've got ghostwriting, developmental editing, line editing, copy editing, proofreading, those 5 services. Guess what? A ghostwriter does all of those. That's why ghostwriters get paid the big bucks. That's why ghostwriters get paid the big bucks, is because you're literally doing everything. You have all the literary tools of the toolbox available. So you can ghostwrite books and articles and newsletters, or you could developmentally edit the books, the ebooks, the articles and newsletters, the sales pages. You could you have all of these tools at your disposal to offer authors potentially. So that's the answer to the question. What's the difference between ghostwriting and editing?
Right. So basically, a ghost writer provides the final output of anything that is provided to them, and that is also like in the name of the client. But he or she have to like write everything by themselves and edit and proofread, as you listed all the services there. So basically, doing it all by themselves. So that is the work of a ghostwriter mainly, right? Writing it from scratch
Yes.
and going through till the editing part.
Yes, yes. And now if you as a ghostwriter create content for your client, why would you need to then edit it if you wrote it right the first time? This is the big problem with ghostwriting, your client. What happens? You write something that's very good. It's awesome. And then the client gets a hold of it. Now, I'm being a
Right.
little bit facetious here. I'm being a little bit facetious here, a little coy. Often when an author gets the first draft of something, that will inspire them to write. And they'll add a bunch of ideas, a bunch of content, maybe additional stories. You send them a 15-page chapter, a 10-page chapter, you get back one chapter, you get back a chapter, now it's 21 pages. So they've added 6 to 10 or more pages of ideas. And it's what I would call a brain dump. The way that you wrote it, it just inspired them and that you reminded them. It was so good. They were enthralled by reading it. And then it pulled to mind some stories and experiences that they haven't thought of in a long time. And so you, of course, want to give them permission to freely write whatever they want to write inside of the chapter you've completed. This is why I use Google Docs, by the way, so we can collaborate and they can add things and I can come back and edit them. So this is why you do 3 drafts of everything as a ghostwriter. The first draft is you writing it, you sending it to them. And then often they will add additional stories and experiences. They'll change some things. If there are some details to a story that maybe you got wrong, they'll fix them. That's fine. And then they send you back the second draft. So the second draft is what they've added or changed to your first draft. And now the second draft needs to be edited because it's not just your work, it's also the author's. And usually there will be a difference in, I would say, quality, and that you've written a crisp, beautiful, professional chapter. But give permission to your clients to feel like they can just brain dump their ideas. Doesn't have to be great. They can just free write without having to worry about how exactly it sounds or is this put the right way. And then you take what they've written and then you developmentally edit those new sections, or you line edit those new sections, or you copy edit those new sections. And this is the value add of a ghostwriter, by the way. The author feels like they can just drop a bunch of random stuff onto the page and you make it sound really good at every stage, right? And then, of course, now that you've got a revised second draft, at the very end, once you've got all the chapters together, you then go back and you work on that third draft. And it's usually copy editing the third draft of the entire manuscript now. So like the grammatical errors and the mistakes and details that maybe you got wrong, creating footnote citations, for example, all the stuff that makes it look like a real book. And this would be the same for a sales page, right? You make sure the sales page is crisp, or the article that you're working on, or the email newsletter sequence, whatever it is that you're ghostwriting, you'll probably want to go through 3 drafts. And that way the author, the creator, the client feels like they get their money's worth.
Right, right. They get their money as worth. Okay. So yeah, we have a question that like how to pitch people that we are a ghostwriter and how to get clients for the same.
Yes, yes. The more someone realizes they need a ghostwriter, the easier it's going to be to sell them your services. Case studies, testimonials, those will really help you. Really help you. It would be called social proof, right? You've got proof that a bunch of people out there trust you and your work. So what do I regularly do? Well, when I get a text message or a WhatsApp message or a telegram or an email or a direct message on social media from a client who says, wow, Joshua, this chapter was really well written. I'm very pleased with what you've done. What do? I take a screenshot and I remove their name with like a little marker or some sort of digital tool, markup tool, to remove their name and their email and any identifying information. And what do? I publish those on social media. People who follow you see that over and over and over. They trust you. They know that you know what you're doing. Because it's one thing to say, I'm a freelance writer, I'm a ghostwriter. That's not going to get you clients, just calling yourself a ghostwriter. You got to prove it. You got to prove it. And that's why I recommend you author your own books. You create your own information products like courses or ebooks, and make it clear that you also help people create these for themselves, and you even do it for them, right? So the best way to make money ghostwriting is to start by not even ghostwriting. It's creating your own stuff and then letting people know that, oh, by the way, you offer this as a service. Writing ebooks as a service. We're authoring books or novels as a service. And then throughout your social media presence and your email list or whatever you have as your way to share updates, maybe it's LinkedIn, for example, what do? As you get clients, you regularly publish anything that you can related to the work that you've done. So if I have a confidentiality or non-disclosure agreement with an author, I'll take a screenshot of the email praising my work. But of course, I will kind of black out or white out their name, their email, and their picture. And then I'll publish that on social media. So it's basically anonymous now. It looks anonymous, and I haven't broken the confidentiality or non-disclosure agreement. But what they've had to say makes me look really good, and it builds trust. Like, wow, I don't know who this person is, but wow, that's amazing that's the result of the work. And the reason to do that is because ghostwriters typically can't build a portfolio. You really can't build a portfolio by saying, look, I wrote all these books. Now, there is a point where you can. I'm at that stage now in my career where the authors want to know that I wrote their book, because that means that it's going to help book sales, because I have a reputation that I built up now. People say, Joshua, can I put your name on the cover? I'm at that point now. But when I was getting started, when you're getting started, the sort of people that desperately need a ghostwriter are the people who have a lot of content create, but they don't have the time to create it, or they don't have the talent. That was a question we just got in. Who would you be ghostwriting for? I highly recommend people who are entrepreneurial, I would say. So entrepreneurial individuals. This would be, for example, founders of companies that they regularly need to be writing an email newsletter to their customers, for example, or a note from the founder's desk. They need product descriptions written that feel like the voice of the founder. Influencers regularly need content like tweets or inspirational Instagram posts written. You could be their social media ghostwriter. There are businesses that need to regularly produce content for their blog, and the founder has a unique writing style. So you would then ghost blog. You can ghost email. You can ghost tweet. You can ghost copyright. You can do all these things for businesses. So that's where I would start, is What are the businesses that you already have a relationship with in some way? Maybe you use their products or services. Maybe you know them from the university. Maybe there's, yeah, that's where I started, frankly, is my own network. Okay, who in my network has a business? More so, who in my network regularly needs to create content? So this would work even for like solo businesses. So like a business coach or a business consultant or someone who's kind of a one-person show, so to speak. Having a book would really help them in their career, making them look really good. So there are people that would need content created regularly. So that would be a good place to start. What are the businesses that I know that need content created regularly? Because not all businesses do. For example, there are a lot of services-based businesses like electricians or plumbers or carpenters, woodworkers, that they get a lot of clients word of mouth. So they don't really need content created, so don't even worry about them. So we've got a couple of questions, it looks like, in the comments. So I'll pause there. That's who you want to work with, is business people, because that means they have a business that they invest time and money in, and they need content created. They have a budget for creating content. So it's just a matter of finding the right budget. Okay, what's your content writing budget? You know, what are they able to pay? And then if that works for you, it works for you. If not, move on to the next one. All right, what do we have in terms of questions here?
Okay. My last question to you will be like how to price the ghostwriting services.
Yeah. When I got started, I was very, very cheap. Literally, my first freelance writing project, I charged $1 and 67 cents, which for someone based in the United States is extremely low. Extremely low. Why? Because I wanted clients, and I was willing to do just about whatever it took to say, no, that's right. That was per hour. $1, $1 and 67 cents per hour, I should say. And by the way, I think the minimum wage. So if you hire an employee, the lowest you could pay them is something like $7 an hour. So I went way below minimum wage. Probably a mistake. There's not really a hard and fast way. There's not really a right way to price your ghostwriting services, but there are wrong ways. The wrong way is to charge per word. Never charge per word for anything you write. The reason why? You should never charge per word, because that incentivizes you to put a bunch of words on the page that don't need to be there. And clients know this. They know that if they're paying per word, they want you to write as few words as possible. So what's that going to mean? Well, that's going to mean that quality is not what they're paying for. You want to get as many words written as possible. They want as few words written. Like, no, your goals are entirely different. Don't charge per hour, because that incentivizes you to take a long time. And you want as many clients as possible. You want to make as much money as possible, right? So if you're kind of dragging, or even just not going as fast as you possibly can because you're getting paid per hour, then a couple of things happen. Number one, you can't take on as many clients because you're incentivizing yourself to go slower. The client doesn't like that. The client doesn't like paying per hour because they don't know what that means. Okay, I pay you per hour. Well, what do I get from an hour? Is that a chapter per hour? Well, does it take you an hour to write a chapter? No. If it's a short chapter, it might take you 20 minutes. If it's a long chapter, it might take you 3.5 hours or more, right? So do not charge hourly or by the word, because it incentivizes you to do the wrong things. Price it per project. Maybe if you're getting started and you're writing very short ebooks that your author clients can sell, maybe you're charging somewhere between US $500 and US $2,500 for the entire project, for writing that short ebook. Nowadays, I see a lot of the professional ghostwriters who have a reputation, who've written a lot of books. They're anywhere from US $35,000 to US $100,000 for a book. But is that all they're getting is a book? No. What the ghostwriter is also doing is helping them get it published and creating all of the book publication, marketing communications materials, and social media posts, and the sales page for the book, and all sorts of things that they would need anyway. So why not be a one-stop shop? Why not be a one-stop shop? So that's what I am now for my clients. So I can get paid more than most ghostwriters because I do more than most ghostwriters. But when you're getting started, you probably don't want to be the one-stop shop, the one-person show quite yet. You probably want to focus on, okay, what can I do the best at, and that's what I'll charge for. That's what I'll charge for. What would be awesome is if you, as a beginner ghostwriter, can offer a service that takes the author all the way. Takes the author all the way. And by that, I mean, if you're ghostwriting an ebook that they're going to publish on Amazon, well, offer a service where you also publish it on Amazon for them. You kind of be their self-publisher for hire, so to speak. So that's something that's hard. Get it done for them. Get it done for them. That way, you're not writing them a manuscript, an ebook, or a book, and they say, what am I supposed to do with this now? Take that off their plate, they'll pay you for it. And this is true for emails, by the way. I ghost email for quite a few companies. And you know what I do? You know what I do? I come along and I'll say, I won't just ghostwrite your email newsletters or your sales emails. I will reformat them, upload them, and schedule them within your email marketing platform. And that saves you a whole ton of time. And so I can charge way more because I'm removing a lot of time wasters from the client's plate. So the more you can take off of your client's plate, so to speak, the more they can hire you to do, the more you can get paid, and also the longer they'll want to keep you. So that's the answer to that question. Looks like we have a couple more in the comments. What do we got here?
Right. We can move towards the comments questions now. So the first is how does one build a portfolio for themselves as a ghostwriter?
Yes. As I said, create your own stuff, author your own books, and make sure they are as good as you can possibly make them. Impress potential clients. Assume that you're writing these books or creating these courses or whatever it is you're creating. Assume that you're creating them as your own marketing materials. Give you an example. When I'm writing sales pages for my own courses, what I'm really doing is I'm considering that these sales pages are my portfolio to write sales pages. So what will happen? People will read a sales page of mine and they'll be stunned by its persuasiveness. They'll buy it, even if they don't need it, and then they'll email and say, Joshua, I bought your course. I don't even think it's for me, but I realized something. I have no idea how to write so persuasively. I have no idea how you convinced me to buy it. Can I hire you to write my sales pages so I can have this effect on people? See, that's how it works. That's how it works. So your portfolio, your best portfolio is you. It's the same way with web design development, by the way. If you call yourself a web designer or web developer, and I go to your website, oh, you don't have a website? I go to your website and it's, ugh. It doesn't look good. It's slow. It doesn't work. What does that tell me? That tells me you don't know how to design a website. I can't possibly hire you. You call yourself a ghostwriter and you've never written your own books. Sorry, I can't take you seriously. Now, I may sound harsh, but I want you to be in the top 1% of ghostwriters, the top 10% even of ghostwriters. The top ghostwriters in the world, the highest paid ghostwriters in the world, we write our own books. We have our own courses. We have our own reputation, our own personal brand. So even if authors, potential clients, they don't see what you've written for other people, but they see what you've created yourself, that is more than enough to get them to say, okay, I'm game for hiring you now. I want to do this. What other questions we got?
Okay, great. So, yeah, just wanted to know that as we are like being a ghostwriter, does it come that we have to charge more for the same thing that a freelancer writer can do in the name, like for a
Yeah,
blog
I
piece?
don't.
Suppose we take an example for a blog piece. So someone asks us to write a blog piece in their name, in the client's name, like basically ghost written blog pieces. And on the other hand, we can write blog pieces and publish that on our name. So does it affect the prices as of all?
It should, yes, yes. Generally, if you call yourself a professional ghostwriter, that sounds like it's worth more than freelance writer. It just sounds so much better. It sounds so much better. Also, you can charge more if you're ghostwriting rather than just blogging. So let's say a company comes to you and they say, "Hey, we need 25 blog posts written. We're going to schedule them out over the next, it's basically one blog post every other week for the rest of the year for our business, right?" And then you ask them, "Okay, does this need to be in the founder's voice?" If they say yes, it needs to sound like the founder of the company or the CEO or whoever in the company, then guess what? You're going to charge more because it's ghostwriting. And you're going to charge more not because ghostwriting is worth more, but because you need to put more time into it, studying their voice and interviewing the founder and making sure that whoever's voice it's in, it'll sound like them. But if it doesn't matter who the voice is in, they just need to be good. They have to have all the right search engine optimization keywords in those articles. Then you would be a professional blogger on that assignment, blogger for hire. Still, I don't recommend calling yourself a freelance writer because that's generic and it feels cheap. So call yourself a professional. Okay, this is a professional blogging assignment. So because you don't have to spend as much time interviewing anyone, you don't need to charge just more because you're spending less time on it. So that's my answer to that.
Okay, great. So yeah, also Henan wrote a short piece on your course. So it will be great if you can have a look at the link. She has also provided the same.
Yes, I do recall saying that. Thank you, Hanan. I recommend you all check that out. Yeah, that'll be a fun read for you. Get a little look at my writing style. Okay, what's the next question?
Yeah. The next question is who should start ghostwriting? I mean, for whom is ghostwriting ideal for?
Yeah. So for the person who's offering the service is you want to get paid to write. If you want to get paid to write, the best way to get paid to write a lot would be as a ghostwriter. Now, who's ghostwriting the service for? Well, my perspective is that it's, as I said, for anyone who joined after I'd said that, the best ghostwriting clients are business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're coaches, they're people who are in business for themselves, and they need to create content to help them get clients, to help them make sales. So they need a weekly email newsletter to their customer list or to their subscribers. They need to have a bunch of blogs out there regularly. They need to be regularly creating tweets, tweet thread, Instagram posts. They need books. They need ebooks. They even need help creating a course. You can be a ghost course creator, helping them create content. I've done that a few times. Written content for someone's course that they then take that content and then record themselves going through it. But yeah, you can do just about everything, but you really want to be talking to business people who are used to investing in their business, paying contractors, paying professionals to help them grow their business. So that's really the only type of person I recommend working with as a ghostwriter.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And yeah, we have a next question that how much should a beginner take for an entire project according to you?
How much should beginner? Yes, I think I talked about this one. So don't charge by the word, don't charge by the hour, charge per project, and it kind of depends on what it is that you're ghostwriting and what you're doing for them. So you can always charge more the more that you're doing. So for example, let's say you are writing maybe like one email newsletter a week for a client. So you're a ghost email, right? A ghost marketer, maybe. But you're not just writing the emails. You're not just literally writing the words. You're also understanding how to reformat the content for their email marketing platform. You're also scheduling it. And that means the client needs to be able to trust you to know that you're not going to mess it up. You're not going to send the right email at the wrong time. You're not going to schedule it for a year out when it was meant to be scheduled for next week. So the fact that they can trust you to take that off their plate for them, that's worth a lot of money. That's worth a lot more. So what is it that you could charge? Obviously, you can't charge more than they're willing to pay. So how do you find the right price? I often will dance with a client. Some would call this negotiation. I prefer to call it a dance. So let's say I say to someone, okay, and this will be something I rate like towards my beginner days. I will write, one email for your company. I'll ghostwrite one email for you per week, $750 per month. So one 500-word email per month, or per week rather, 4 emails total per month for $750. And I will upload them, reformat them, so you don't have to fool with that. I can take care of that. A done-for-you service. They say, ooh, $750, that's a lot more than I was expecting to pay. I was thinking it would be like $300 or $400. Do you then say, oh, sorry, I guess I can't help you. This sucks. Or do you say, oh, I would love to cut my price in half? No, don't do that. Don't do that. You say, I can still help you for $350 a month, or I can still help you for $400 a month. Here's what that would look like. Instead of creating 4 emails per month, instead of writing 4 emails per month, I could write 3 emails per month, but I wouldn't add them to your email marketing platform because that's some time on my end. And they say, okay, so 3 emails per month. I still have to upload them myself. That's a lot of time. Okay, yeah, I changed my mind. We'll do the $750. So what you do is you dance with them on price, and you take your service offering and you just drop it down as far as they'll go. For example, someone comes to me, hey, Joshua, I want to write a book and I want to create a course with it. I want to have a book and an audiobook and a masterclass. I want to do all these things. Okay, that'll be $75,000 US, $75,000 US dollars. They say that's a lot more than I was expecting. What if I do most of the writing myself? Okay, then that'll be, if you're writing all the first draft of everything, and I'm doing the developmental editing on all of the draft, and we're still publishing and marketing, that's going to be 25 to 30,000 US dollars. Well, what if I have it written and I edit it myself and I just need you to proofread it? And so I just keep going down with them until they get a yes and I don't hate them. My recommended pricing is you don't despise them for how little they've paid you and how much you've given them. That's the number one rule of pricing, is that you shouldn't hate them for how little they're paying you for what you're offering. Now, if they're paying you this little amount, but you're also offering a little amount of services, then it's fair. Everybody wins. So that's my advice on pricing. It looks like we have another question here. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And that sounds really cool that even if they are not agreeing to your price, just cut down your services according to their price or their budget. And then they would like decide what they actually want and what price.
Exactly.
Right. So yeah, we have a question that have you ever had a situation where your client didn't wipe with your first draft and you ended up rewriting it again? If yes, what did you do differently for that?
Yeah. So first draft. Well, I don't like feedback like, oh, I didn't like it, or it didn't feel like me, or I want to go a different direction. Okay, well, what about it did you not like? What was the sentence? Seriously, meet with the client, open up the chapter on your computer, and do a screen share on Zoom or Meets or whatever, Microsoft Teams or whatever service you're using. Pull it up and read it sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph. Because then one of two things will happen. Either as you go sentence by sentence, they'll realize it's actually really good, and there's maybe only 1 or 2 things they want to change. So they'll change their mind actually as they go through. It's like, actually, I guess, yeah, that's okay. I can live with that. That's fine. Or they will tell you what exactly they want to change. So it will turn out that you probably won't have to rewrite the entire thing. So that is the solution. It's not about rewriting it or how much you rewrite or how you rewrite different. It's if they don't like it, you pull it up on screen and you meet with them and you ask them sentence by sentence what they want changed. And that will tell you the truth. Do they actually want it rewritten? Or was there just one or two things they didn't like that you can fix because they can tell you that? And always put the responsibility on the author to tell you what they want. You can't write something for them if they don't tell you what it is they want written. And that principle goes through everything. You need to know exactly what they want from everything. The feedback even that they give. Oh, I don't like it. I want that. I want to change that. Okay, well, what do you want to change? Is it that sentence, that section, that chapter, that paragraph, and so on?
Right, right. Like that's an actionable feedback basically that the client may provide you, and then you act on it according to what they have given the feedback for you, right? So, yeah. Simran, you can ask your question. You were asking something, I guess.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for joining this webinar. I have few questions in my mind. Like first question is that how to identify that a client or a person needs a ghost writer. Do they come and ask you that can you do ghost writing for us, or we should have maintained our portfolio in such a way that they get attracted to this and ask us?
Yeah. There's a couple different ways that I have got clients when I was a beginner ghostwriter, and I use some of those same ways now. So the first way that I got ghostwriting clients is I authored my own books, and I marketed those books, and I met a couple of business people. Two different business owners read my novels and said, "You're how old again? I've wanted to write a book longer than you've been alive. You're obviously the expert on this because the books are good. Can you help me write my book?" So by marketing
For
my own books, that was marketing my services.
Niche your books are like they are on marketing, or you have some specific niche on which you write, or you write any book which any subject which you think is good?
Yeah. So funny enough, they were books that I wanted to write. I did not even intend to use them as marketing materials. They're novels. The people that reached out to me wanted to write memoirs, but what they said is, Joshua, I don't want to write a boring autobiography about my business experiences and lessons learned along the way. I want to be entertaining and actionable and interesting. But I want it to feel like it's a story. And you're really good at writing stories because I read your novel. So can you help me write my life story, my autobiography, my memoir, like it's a novel, and it feel that engaging? That's how I got started.
I also want
Nowadays,
like you mentioned about email ghostwriting. So email ghostwriting is something new for me, and I think that it is new for others also. So what is exactly email ghostwriting? Because in email ghostwriting, how do they take clients and how do people get to know about this?
yeah. I am regularly promoting my own stuff. By that, I mean I create YouTube video tutorials. I create educational tweets and Twitter threads. I've done this on LinkedIn. I've done podcast interviews. I've done my own blogging for myself. And what do I talk about? I talk about how to write persuasively, how to write better emails. If you're going out there focused on educating people, educating your niche or your market or potential clients on how to better do what you offer as a service, what's going to happen is they'll say, "Hey, I really liked you on that interview. I really liked that Twitter thread of yours that I read. Hey, I really liked your that LinkedIn post of yours. Do you offer that as a service? What you talked about? You said 7 steps for more persuasive email. You seem to be an expert on writing persuasive email. Do you think you could help me write my emails? That's usually how it works. So the best way to get clients is to not try to get clients. It's to educate potential clients on how valuable your services are.
Okay, thank you, sir, for all the knowledge and information. Highly appreciated.
Sure thing. A couple of people have asked me for my own social media stuff, so I'll, if it's all right with you, I'll drop my my social media links in there. All right. Do you have any other questions while I'm dropping my social media links for anybody who wants to follow me and see what all the fuss is about?
Yeah. Okay. So, do anyone has any questions to ask or anything to say to the speaker? If yes, please do so. Else we can end this session. I guess it was a great session. I learned so much from you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi Joshua, Hanan here. I have one question. First of all, I read your guide and it was really helpful. And I follow you on Twitter, so you share a lot of great stuff. So my question is, so I've just started writing, and it's been around like 7, 8 months now. And I am thinking of starting like a short, like posting a small like Gumroad course or something, but basically want to monetize it. And I don't know how. And I guess ghostwriting and then these courses, freelancing, there are a lot of things that can help in monetizing your writing. So, what suggestions would you have for a person who knows like how to write, who has experience in writing, but doesn't really monetize it?
Yeah. So my question would be something like this, as in response to your question, is something like, what are you at the best at writing that makes money? This doesn't have to just be for yourself. Let's say maybe you are really good at writing sales emails that get people to click and take action. That's a very valuable service. So you should be talking about how to write sales emails that sell. Let's say you really enjoy writing blog articles on a specific topic. Okay. Regularly talk about how to write awesome blogs, how to write successful blogs. Educate. Go out there and talk about those things on all the channels where people can find, or where you can find that audience. So who are the sort of people that I want to ghostwrite books for? They're business owners. Well, where are business owners? They're listening to business podcasts. Okay, I guess I need to go on business podcasts then. Pretty simple. But you should be going directly out to, that's where you should be going, is going to where the business people, where your niche already is. And let's say you are building your social media presence. If there's a specific niche that you want to target, a specific industry or type of service, then make sure that if I go to your profile, I see that very prominently. Like if you want to do an email ghostwriter, put that there. Sales email expert, sales email ghostwriter, or ghost marketer, something like that. So people say, oh, this person does what I need. And then regularly create educational content on that. How is ghostwriting different from copywriting? Someone asks. The big difference there is that ghostwriting must be in the voice of the client. It must sound like them. Copywriting is if you're creating a product, a sales page for a product, marketing copy for a product. It doesn't really matter whose voice it's in, because it's like an e-commerce brand. There's not really a founder or an influencer that you need to make sure the content sounds like. That would be copywriting. And the question is, should ghostwriters charge more than regular content writers? Yes, because ghostwriting is much harder because it has to sound like the person that you're writing for. It looks like that's all the questions so far. I'm happy to take one or two more questions, and then 1 or 2 more questions. We have another one.
Yeah, so I have one question. Like, for example, if a company hires you for a post of a content writer, okay, and they give you to write blogs and publish on their name. In this way, also, it is a kind of a ghostwriting only. So we can tell them that it is a ghostwriting, and we can charge double the pay what they are paying. Or how does this works?
What's your question about getting paid double?
So my question is that, for example, if a company hires you for the post of a content writer, okay. So like if we are writing the content for their blog and it is definitely going to be published on their name or their brand of the founder. So this is also kind of a ghost writing only, na, that our name is not getting featured on the blog. So then in this scenario also, can we tell them that it is a form of a ghost writing and we can charge double?
I would start that from the beginning, rather than say, okay, my content writing rate is this, but if you're going to publish it with your name, it's going to be this. That's not super valuable for the client. I would start, our ghostwriting services are this price, rather than, if you want me to write for you, it's this. But if you want to put your name on it when it gets published, it's this. That doesn't feel like a valuable price, that doesn't feel valuable to the client. So I would not recommend doing that. I would recommend starting at the higher price for what it is you're going to be offering,
No, but I'm
assuming.
understanding the concept that this is also kind of a ghost writing only.
Yeah, you could say that that's ghostwriting only. That it'll be uh, you know putting, is this ghostwriting, is this copywriting, is this blogging? Usually ghostwriting is someone else's name is published on it. So if you call yourself a ghostwriter, it's going to be assumed that what you're doing is a much more difficult service, so you could charge more for it. But also, if you call yourself a ghost anything, then definitely someone else is going to have their name on it. But if you're copywriting for someone, copywriting a sales page, for example, it's not going to have your name on it anyway. Would you call that ghostwriting? Maybe, maybe not. So calling this ghostwriting, calling that ghostwriting, this isn't ghostwriting, that's not ghostwriting. Getting into the labels, I found isn't particularly helpful. Past a certain point, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Sure thing. I'll take one more question. One more question.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Sure.
You said that we have to imitate the voice for writing memoirs and for books regarding business people and all this stuff. But is this, we cannot do the same for novels also, right? Or can we do it?
Now, obviously, they may not be a great novelist. They may not be a great fiction writer, but you'll still want to make sure that the general tone and feel matches them, for sure, for sure.
Oh, okay, sir. Because I was thinking it was only for non-fictional writings and not for fictional ones. But you have cleared my doubt now. Yeah, thank you.
Sure thing, sure thing. Well, that's all the questions here. So it's been a blast here, spending this hour or so with you, and thank you for setting that up. Any last things before I head out? Before we finish up?
Just wanted to thank you for this session, and it was like really helpful for all of us, and looking forward to all your obviously your social media posts and connecting with you as well. So yeah, thank you so much, and bye bye. Thank you again.
Sure thing. Take care, everybody. It's been a real pleasure. You have a great rest of your day.